Obama was my favorite president. He's the best spokesman, other than Clinton, of all time. Now I think he's a liar.
So why is a school safety a joke, but President Obama's isn't? Because for him, in the media, the story fits the assumption of an America that hates Muslims.
Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld ruined Barack Obama on their podcasts by exposing his dark secrets and weak policies.
But Obama was promising, and now he's terrible.
Rogan and Gutfeld argue that instead of legacy, Obama left behind a PR campaign disguised as leadership.
And that's scary to progressives like Obama, who fear that their ideology will be exposed as the culprit behind so much present misery. Identity politics, welfare policies, and the white liberal addiction to social intervention has helped replace enterprise with entitlement.
From his disastrous foreign policies to domestic failures and cultural division, they mercilessly exposed Obama on live television. According to Rogan, Obama represents a politician who weaponized likability and media charm to cover up policies that hurt civil liberties, all while avoiding serious criticism thanks to an adoring press and Hollywood elite. Rogan is never a fan of Obama's press conference stunts, such as sipping Flint water in front of the world.
It is. There you go. You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but, you know.
Rogan has mocked Obama's tendency to give emotional, dramatic speeches while delivering very little real-world change, especially in areas like police reform and racial healing. He believed that Obama is detached from the real-world problems and is focused on his PR stunts, such as Obama pretending to drink Flint tap water in the middle of the speech to convince people that tap water is safe.
Well, it could have just been negligence and, lack of, I don't know what, I have no knowledge about the Flint thing other than when Obama pretended to drink water from there. Can I get a glass of water? I'm serious. I'm thirsty. Can I get a glass of water? This is not a prank. And he just takes...
This Flint drinking drama of Obama in the middle of water crises was a clear mockery of the public, revealing how much less Obama cares about his public health.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this,
Is he trying to act like the problem is solved?
Bullshitting the world. Like, to think that you could bullshit the world over whether or not you drink water.
But Joe Rogan is not the only one to criticize Obama's speeches. Gutfeld also regularly mocks Obama's teleprompter-polished speeches, calling them more fitting for a TED Talk than a presidential address.
President Obama's farewell speech soared, towered, dragged. True, it was longer than Reagan's, Clinton's, and GWB's speeches combined. If it got any longer, it would have qualified as a third term.
To him, Obama's presidency was less about substance and more about styling the optics of leadership. Carefully worded phrases, dramatic pauses, and poetic delivery that mesmerized audiences but achieved little in real-world results. He accuses Obama of prioritizing narrative over action, branding over governance.
Sentiment. Part of this skepticism is due to the wide gap between how a person talks one-on-one and how they speak before a crowd. Compare the two and you realize how the latter relies on manipulation. Soaring rhetoric lets you forget about the gaps in truth.
He compared Obama with Donald Trump, believing Trump is way better than Obama as he is real, refreshing, and knows what his public actually wants.
Either seen as refreshingly real or coarse and rough. He's the Obama opposite. When he speaks before crowds, it's pretty much how he talks. Blunt, raw, messy, but louder.
While Joe Rogan called it a political interpretive dance, eloquent but empty, Gutfeld skewers the entire presidency as a masterclass in how to sell images while sidestepping accountability. After exposing how Obama uses public stunts in his speeches to hide his hypocrisy and lack of action, Rogan and Gutfeld focused on Obama's foreign policies.
Obama be scandal-free administration, What was his biggest scandal? He wore a tan suit or something, and you're like, how about them murdering American citizens without charges? That was a pretty big scandal.
Joe Rogan's criticism cuts especially deep when it comes to Obama's foreign policy. He, alongside Dave Smith, points out the staggering irony of a Nobel Peace Prize winner overseeing one of the most aggressive drone strike programs in U.S. history.
The people that got killed by drones that were totally innocent, which is somewhere in the range of 90%.
To Rogan, this wasn't just hypocritical, but it was cold, calculated, and deeply immoral. He frequently questions how someone could receive global praise for peace, while simultaneously authorizing drone attacks that killed innocent civilians, including children. Not only this, he told Americans other crimes of Obama, like starting genocide in different countries.
Even the drone bombings weren't the worst of what Obama did. You know, the worst of what he did was overthrowing Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, funding the anti-Assad rebels and starting a civil war in Syria, funding the Saudis and giving them the green light and refueling their fighter jets so they could genocide the people of Yemen.
Greg Gutfeld takes a more sarcastic but no less scathing angle. He regularly mocks Obama's infamous red line in Syria when he warned Assad against using chemical weapons, only to back down when the line was crossed.
He truly has mastered the element of non-surprise, which may be why Assad is at a Cancun Friday sipping a coconut colada.
Gutfeld called it one of the most embarrassing moments in modern U.S. diplomacy. A bold threat followed by a retreat that made America look weak.
That he was elected to end wars, not start them.
I was elected to end wars, not start them.
Told ya. Note the verb end. I would have preferred win, but winning is bad because someone loses.
To Gutfeld, Obama was a global performer, delivering lines fit for a TED Talk, while enemies like Assad and Putin watched and laughed. Gutfeld argues that Obama's presidency was high on theatrics and applause, but dangerously low on backbone.
After all, a half measure is really no measure at all.
Then came the Iraq deal, a moment Gutfeld has described as Obama's desperate grab for a foreign policy trophy. Instead of confronting a hostile regime known for chanting "Death to America," Obama chose to sign a deal that critics say gave billions to Iraq in exchange for vague promises.
A win in our column is unjustly maligned by the elitist defeatists.
Gutfeld ridicules the move as naive, even reckless, accusing Obama of trading long-term security for short-term legacy points. Meanwhile, Rogan frames the deal as yet another example of symbolic action cloaked in moral high ground, but devoid of practical strength. Not only were Obama's foreign policies a disaster, but his economic and domestic policies too. Gutfeld and Rogan have pointed out different domestic projects' failures of Barack Obama. Let's start with the economy, specifically the so-called shovel-ready jobs Obama promised during the 2009 stimulus rollout.
High-skill, high-wage jobs of the future.
It was supposed to be an immediate injection of employment opportunities, but as time passed, the jobs never materialized. Even Obama later admitted, almost jokingly, that the projects weren't as shovel-ready as we expected. As expected, Gutfeld wasn't amused. He ridiculed the whole affair, sarcastically saying how working-class hope was traded for cheap symbolism and bureaucratic fluff. The recovery felt more like a government-sponsored PR stunt than a real economic revival.
Do you think Obama would take any responsibility if the good times were actually bad times?
Then came the Obamacare disaster, one of Gutfeld's favorite targets. Gutfeld believed that this aftercare business was nothing but loud, embarrassing, and impossible to ignore.
First, Obamacare benefits from being so bad, it's now background noise like traffic, crying babies, and MyPillow commercials.
Gutfeld tore into the whole Obamacare mess, emphasizing how incompetences led to the failure of Obamacare. He argued that the law hurt more people than it helped, especially middle-class families.
What could have been? Fact is, the Affordable Care Act was indeed an act, a Trojan horse for redistribution. What we're told is good for us can only exist as a lie. To the left, we're just children forced to take our medicine, especially if it kills us.
And then there was education, where Gutfeld argues that Obama's posturing didn't match reality. While the president gave soaring speeches about equality and opportunity, inner-city schools were falling apart, riddled with poor funding, outdated curriculums, and unsafe environments.
From the Department of Common Sense. As individuals, we can make our own decisions about our own safety. Teachers, they don't have that luxury. Obama dismissed such concerns through his intrusive baloney.
Gutfeld accused Obama of turning a blind eye to these systemic failures. He didn't care about terrorism and how schools are unsafe. Gutfeld believed Obama isn't doing enough to save children from any mishaps because he didn't care about them and is not using his common sense.
You've seen what they do to people who jump fences. So why is a school safety a joke, but President Obama's isn't?
Not only this, both Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld ripped into Barack Obama's self-righteous crusade against disinformation. When Obama tweeted about the dangers of media that elevate falsehoods, it landed like a punchline. Rogan and Gutfeld pointed out how Obama is a hypocrite here who is using the media for his brand, but has the audacity to call them out when other parties took advantage of it.
Finally, he says we need to change the way the media reports issues.
Gutfeld led the charge with classic sarcasm, pointing out how Obama conveniently ignored his own administration and party's role in pushing some of the biggest media manipulations in recent memory. From the now debunked Russian collusion narrative to the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, and even the media-fueled myth of hands up, don't shoot, Gutfeld said. Obama's moral posturing was laughable.
And beneath the President of the United States to act like he's frustrated in the playground of politics.
Joe Rogan was just as brutal, calling Obama the poster child for elite hypocrisy. While the former president tours college campuses, sells inspirational merchandise, and gives life advice through polished interviews and Netflix specials, Rogan accuses him of dodging any real accountability for the lies or chaos that followed his legacy. Whenever someone tried to show him the mirror, he would curse on them in front of the whole world. It is Obama's classic way of avoiding any accountability. When it comes to race and cultural division, both Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld argue that Barack Obama squandered a historic opportunity. As America's first black president, he had the rare chance to truly unite the country and move it toward a post-racial era. Patrick Bet-David also agrees with them.
He said the reason why identity politics worked in 08 was because Obama could go up there saying, I'm the black person you've been waiting to vote for.
Instead of the right path, Obama chose the easier, more performative path: identity politics over unity and moral lectures over meaningful dialogue. Joe Rogan accuses Obama of leaning into cultural wedge issues, often using moral superiority as a weapon. Instead of creating space for disagreement or complex conversations about race, Obama's rhetoric frequently labeled dissenters as morally flawed or racially insensitive, effectively shutting down debate.
But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist, which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017.
Yeah.
You know, I think it worked back then. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore.
Greg Gutfeld puts it even more bluntly. He argues that Obama elevated identity politics into a national religion, where every disagreement was framed as a character flaw. In Gutfeld's view, Obama didn't just fail to bring people together, but he actually intensified the culture wars by embedding racial tension into the core of national conversation, all while maintaining the appearance of dignity and eloquence. So, Rogan and Gutfeld peel back the layers of charm and rhetoric to reveal a much darker reality of Obama, one filled with hypocrisy, broken promises, and performative leadership. What are your thoughts about it? Please share with me in the comments section.